Take a look at this page. Something is not quite right. Do you notice how the air, hotel, and car group box labels are far to the left of their related data entry fields? Are group box titles misaligned? It seems like the data entry fields are centered, but the group box titles are left aligned. What's the best way to fix this? My students often ask this question during our Fluid training courses. This page is a responsive, adaptive page our students built in class. And as you can see, there's a clear disconnect between the labels and the content, and I think we should fix it. But before we get started, let me see how Classic handled this. Now, notice the alignment in this Classic page. It's actually the same as Fluid. Notice the labels are aligned to the left. The labels of the group boxes are aligned to the left. But what makes them different is Classic used borders to identify relationships. You see, I don't think we have an alignment problem. I think we have a relationship problem. Without visual boundaries, it's hard to tell where one item ends and another begins. Let me show you how we might fix this. Now, in Application Designer, we have a page. It's using a 3-column layout, column 1, column 2, and column 3. And as we see online, PeopleSoft represents it as a solid border with no spacing between each of those group boxes. I think that's where the issue is. Number one, we have no reference point, no boundaries, no breaking points between one group box and the next group box. The next issue is, the alignment issue, where we have the label far to the left versus the content, which seems end-centered, but it isn't. The content is actually taking up 100% of the width of the group box, but 33% of the width is reserved for the label, and the remainder is for the data entry field. So what we actually see is center left, where 33%, that's this line right here. So we're actually at about the 1/3 mark right here, not actually center, which would be over here. So here's how I would fix this in Application Designer. First, well, it's Fluid. So we're going to start with a group box. The answer to every question in Fluid is group box. And then now we're using a 3-column layout. So these right here, these are each of the column layouts. So we need to go back to those, grab their column items, because these are no longer going to be the layout items for the columns. Instead, we're going to have an outer group box for that. Now, the point of the outer group box is to be the columns, which are going to have some padding, which is going to allow us to put a border around and still have some space between each of the items without using margin. See, if we use margin, it actually starts causing each of the 3 columns to take up more than 33%. What we're looking at is column 1, column 2, and column 3, 33, 33, 33, or pretty close to 100%. If we start putting margin between each of these to create some sort of a breakage to make that relationship more visible, what we do is we start ending up with more than 33% per column, causing us to take up more than 100%, forcing the 3rd column to move down to the next row. So the way we're going to fix that is to put all of the spacing on the inside of the column by creating new columns. So we're going to move the column style class to the outer group box and use another style class, PSC_padding-standard. And we're going to use this style class somewhere else. So I'll go ahead and copy that. A group box type will be layout only. And actually, our best practice is to use the group box label for documentation, since the group box label is invisible anyway, since it's a layout only group box. Okay, fantastic. Now, I like what I'm seeing here. So let's just copy and paste the entire group box over the remaining. So now we have the other 3 columns. Now we have a problem. These are also marked as column item 1 of 3. We'll fix that in a minute. But first, let's see, what style classes should we use here to fix the issue? So how about PSC_padding-standard? We mentioned that one. And PSC_border-standard. Now I have to tell you, I absolutely love the Oracle delivered standard classes: padding standard, border standard, margin standard. The reason is because when we use those standard classes, we inherit the Oracle defined attributes. Like, for example, with a border, what's the thickness of the border? Border width. What is the border color? What is the border style? Is it dotted? Is it dashed? Is it a solid line? Okay, fantastic. Now, I think the first one looks good, but before we copy and paste those style classes into the others, let's test it out. Now I have to tell you, it isn't these other 2 columns, they're going to look awkward. Because right now we have PSC column item 1 of 3. That's fantastic. Column 1, column 2, column 3. But this here thinks it's supposed to be a third also. So inside this column item 1 of 3, we're probably going to see that this box show up as just a small fragment. But what we want to focus on is this box over here. What does it look like? Let's do a quick refresh and find out. I like it. I think this one looks great. Fantastic. I mean, notice this is what I was talking about, the 66 and 33%. This is not centered. It's about a third of the way over. We have a great relationship between the data entry fields and the label. I like it. So let's continue. Notice the third, 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 and third, 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 because they're using column item 1 of 3 internally. Let's fix that now. I have to say, I absolutely love the flexibility of Fluid. The fact that we can do this. I mean, with Classic, could you have done this? Yes. Yes, you can. It's just so much more work in Classic. I think that's beautiful. Now, I think if I were to take this a step further, I would probably put maybe some more margin or padding between some of these items. Like, for example, grid, and the spacing between the group boxes and the buttons, the group boxes and the grid. More vertical spacing, I think, here would help us to understand the different breaking points between the different pieces of information. I love the simplicity of this solution. At JSM Pros, we teach PeopleTools, Fluid, and web development concepts like this nearly every week. Be sure to check out our website to see what we're offering next. Or here's an idea. Subscribe to our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter feeds to receive updates every time we post a course. Or do you have a team that wants to learn more? Give us a call. Let's get something scheduled. Now, before you go, I have a question for you. Do you have a topic you'd like us to cover in a future soundbite? Let us know by sharing your idea at soundbites.jsmpros.com. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.